I only took the overnight cashier job at Walmart because I was desperate. The pay was shit, but it was money. The first time Register 13 turned on by itself, I thought it was a glitch. 3 a.m. The store was empty, except for me and Dave, the night manager, who was doing inventory in the back. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as I wiped down Register 12. Then I heard it, the familiar chime of a checkout lane powering on. Register 13 lit up. No one was there. The screen flashed. Scan. First item. I stared at it. The conveyor belt jerked forward an inch, like something invisible had pressed against it. "Dave?" I called. No answer. I stepped closer. The scanner beeped. An item appeared on the display. Family-size Cheetos, $4.98. My stomach dropped. I bought those every Friday, religiously. The belt moved again. Another beep. Monster Energy, 4 PK, $7.48. My exact order from last week. The screen tallied the total. $12.46. Then it glitched. The numbers scrambled. The display flickered and reset. Total, $6.66. The printer whirred. A receipt slid out. I didn't want to touch it, but I did. The paper was ice cold. At the top, printed in faint, smudged ink. "Your transaction is pending." I told Dave about it the next night. He didn't look up from his clipboard. "Register 13's always been fucked up. Don't use it." "That's it?" He shrugged. "You see anything else weird? Let me know." At 3:33 a.m., it happened again. The register turned on. The belt moved. This time, I didn't approach. I just watched. The scanner beeped rapidly. Items I recognized flashed on the screen. My shampoo, my brand of gum, the cheap vodka I bought when my ex texted me. The total ticked up. Then, like before, it glitched. Total, $6.66. The receipt printed. I left it there. I wasn't alone this time. Marisol, the new hire, was stocking snacks when Register 13 chimed to life. "What the hell?" she muttered, walking toward it. "Don't!" I started, too late. She stood in front of the screen, her face lit by the glow. Her expression went slack. "Marisol?" She didn't answer. The scanner beeped. "Tampons, 36 CCT, $8.97. Her breath hitched. That's my brand." More items appeared. Her favorite chips, her go-to frozen dinners. The total glitched. $6.66. The receipt printed. Marisol grabbed it before I could stop her. Her hands shook as she read it. Then, without a word, she walked to the break room and tore it into tiny pieces. She quit that night. Dave finally believed me when he saw it himself. We stood together as Register 13 activated. His items popped up. Coors Light, beef jerky, a 6-pack of tube socks, when the total reset to $6.66. He cursed and unplugged the machine. The screen stayed on. The receipt printed anyway. Dave read it. His face drained of color. He wouldn't tell me what it said, just shoved it in his pocket and walked out. He didn't come back for his next shift. I was alone. 3:33 a.m. The register turned on. This time, it scanned things I didn't recognize. Pregnancy test, $9.99. I wasn't pregnant. Black dress, $29.99. I didn't own anything like that. Single rose, $3.99. The total climbed, glitched. $6.66. The receipt printed. I didn't want to look, but I had to. It was longer than the others. At the bottom, in smeared ink. Final purchase, casket rental, $1.00. Thank you for shopping at Walmart. See you soon. I quit the next morning. They never filled my position. Sometimes, when I drive past that Walmart late at night, I slow down just enough to see the glow of the registers through the window. One is always lit, and if you look close, you can see the numbers on the screen, counting down. I took the overnight stocking job at Walmart because I needed the money. Simple as that. The first weird thing happened at 2:37 a.m. on my third night. I was in the grocery section when I heard it. Children laughing. High-pitched. Close. I turned. The store was empty. Then the intercom clicked on. Static hissed for 3 seconds before cutting off. My manager, Carl, walked up behind me. "You okay?" "Did you hear that?" I asked. "Hear what?" The laughter came again. From the toy aisle. Carl's face went blank. "Don't go over there after midnight." "Why not?" He walked away without answering. The doll scared me first. A plastic baby doll with blinking eyes, left sitting upright in the middle of the bicycle aisle. Its head slowly turned to watch me walk by. I told myself it was battery operated. Then I heard the rocking horse. Creak, creak, creak. From the empty toy section, I forced myself to look. The horse was rocking by itself. Faster now, like something invisible was riding it hard. The intercom crackled. A child's voice whispered, "Come play with us." The missing person reports started showing up in the break room. Local kids, all under 10 years old. Last seen near the Walmart toy section. The dates went back years. I flipped through them. The most recent was from last week, a 6-year-old boy. His photo showed him grinning, holding a toy truck. The same model truck now sat in the middle of aisle 7. It hadn't been there at the start of my shift. I saw the shadow figure. 15 a.m. I was stocking action figures when I felt cold air on my neck. The security mirror showed it behind me. A long, thin shape crouched between the shelves. Too tall to be a child, too bent to be human, its head snapped up, black eyes reflected in the mirror. No whites, just oil-spilled darkness. The intercom screamed, a child's terrified wail cut off mid-breath. When I looked back, the shadow was gone, but the toys were all turned toward me now, every single one. I quit. Carl didn't seem surprised, just took my vest and said, "We'll keep your locker ready." As I left, the automatic doors opened on their own. From the toy aisle, small voices giggled, that Walmart's still open. Sometimes at night, if you drive by slowly, you'll see them. Shapes, moving in the toy section windows, small ones, and one much taller. The job listings always posted online. Overnight stalker needed. No experience necessary. I needed the job. That's the only reason I lasted as long as I did. The orientation should have been my first red flag. The HR lady, Linda, smiled too wide when she handed me the vest. "We're like family here," she said. Her teeth were very white. The second red flag was the schedule. Overnight stock, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., no exceptions. Store policy, my manager Rick told me. He had this weird way of staring just past my eyes when he talked. The third red flag, the lockers. Every employee got one. Mine was already assigned. 13. Inside there was a folded blue Walmart vest, a name tag with Tyler, printed in bold letters, and a small leather-bound notebook. I flipped through the notebook. Empty. "You'll need that," said a voice. Behind me, I turned. A guy in his late 20s stood there, arms crossed. His name tag read, Jason, Department Manager. "For what?" I asked. He didn't answer, just smiled. The store was huge at night, empty, just the hum of the freezers and the flicker of dying fluorescence. Jason trained me, showed me how to stock, how to use the handheld scanner, how to read the inventory sheets. At exactly 3 a.m. he stopped. "Time for the meeting," he said. "What meeting?" He didn't answer, just walked toward the back of the store. I followed. Every employee was there, all of them standing in a perfect circle in the seasonal aisle. Halloween decorations surrounded them, plastic skeletons, fake cobwebs, grinning jack-o'-lanterns. Rick stood in the center. He held a knife, not a box cutter. A real knife. "New blood," he said, looking at me. The circle parted. Jason nudged me forward. Rick grabbed my wrist. His grip was too tight. "Repeat after me," he whispered. He said words I didn't understand. Something guttural. I pulled back. The circle closed around me. I didn't show up. Rick called, left a voicemail. "We missed you last night, Tyler. The meeting is mandatory." I went back because I needed the money. At 3 a.m. the intercom crackled. All associates to lawn and garden. I didn't move. Jason found me hiding in the break room. "You have to come," he said. "Or what?" He leaned in. His breath smelled like copper. "Or you'll be the next one in the pit." I searched the store during my lunch break. The pit wasn't hard to find. Back of receiving. A metal door marked maintenance. The lock was broken. Inside, stairs led down. The basement wasn't on the blueprints. The smell hit me first. Rot and bleach. Then I saw the stains on the concrete. Dark, old, and the hooks, dozens of them, hanging from the ceiling. Something moved in the shadows. I ran. I called the police. They came, searched the store, found nothing. "No basement," the cop told me. "You sure you weren't dreaming?" Rick watched from the customer service desk. Smiling, I quit. Rick didn't argue, just nodded and took my vest. "You'll be back," he said. "They always come back." I left, but that night, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "We saved your locker." Attached was a photo. Locker number 13. Inside, the notebook wasn't empty anymore. It had my name and a date. Tomorrow. I moved, changed my number, but last week I got an email. Subject line: orientation. Attachment: a Walmart schedule. My name was on it, and so was the address of my new apartment. I've worked the overnight shift at Walmart for 3 years. You see weird shit at 3 a.m. Drunk guys buying condoms and energy drinks. Tweakers pacing the electronics section. Once, a naked old man tried to pay for a pack of gum with a handful of pennies. But nothing like her. The first time I saw her, I was zoning out at Register 4. The store was dead. Just me, the hum of the freezers, and the flickering light above aisle 12. Then the automatic doors slid open. Cold air rushed in. She walked slow, too slow. Her dress was faded, the kind of floral print you see on old couches at Goodwill. It hung off her like she'd lost weight since buying it. Her skin was wrong. Not pale, gray, like meat left in the fridge too long. She didn't look at me, just stared straight ahead as she dragged a hand along the checkout lane, her nails leaving thin streaks in the dust. I forced a smile. "Find everything okay?" No answer. Her items hit the belt. 3 packs of raw chicken thighs and a can of baby formula. The chicken was leaking. Pink fluid pooled under the packaging. The formula can was dented, the label peeling. I scanned them. Fast. 1876. She held out a crumpled $20. Her fingers were long. Knuckles swollen, veins blue under that gray skin. I pinched the bill by the corner. It felt damp. As I handed back her change, I finally looked at her face. Big mistake. Her eyes were black. Not dark brown, black. No whites, no pupils, just 2 oily pits, and her mouth. She wasn't breathing. I dropped the coins. They hit the belt with a clink. She didn't pick them up, just took her bag and walked out. The doors closed behind. No car in the parking lot, no footprints in the snow. "You see that lady last night?" I asked Derek during break. He bit into a stale donut. "What lady?" "Gray skin, weird dress, bought chicken and formula." Derek frowned. "Nobody came through my line." I pulled up the security footage on the break room computer. Rewound to 3:17 a.m. There she was, walking in, dragging her fingers along the cereal boxes. But when she got to my register, the screen glitched. Just for a second. Then it showed me alone, scanning nothing, handing change to empty air. Derek laughed. "You high, man?" I wasn't. Marisol was working cosmetics. At 4 a.m. she screamed. We found her curled behind the shampoo display, shaking. "She was in the mirror," she whispered, "behind me. But when I turned, no one was there." The cameras showed Marisol alone. Then, at 5:30 a.m., the intercom crackled. A voice whispered, "Where's my formula?" The speakers were off. Derek didn't show up for his shift. His car was in the lot, keys on the dash. Phone charging in the cup holder. Security footage showed him walking into the back room at 2:45 a.m. He never walked out. I quit. The manager didn't care. Just shrugged and took my vest. As I left, the automatic doors opened on their own. Cold air rushed in. I didn't look back. That Walmart closed last month. Structural issues, the sign said. But I drove by last night. The parking lot was empty, except for one cart. Inside it, 3 packs of raw chicken and a dented can of formula. I never wanted to work nights at Walmart, but when you're broke and your car's one repair away from being scrap metal, you take what you can get. The first time I heard it, I thought it was the pipes. Knock, knock, knock. A slow, deliberate sound, like someone tapping on the other side of a door, waiting to be let in. I looked up from stocking cereal. The noise came from the back, the old storage room near receiving, the one with the rusted padlock and the yellowed authorized personnel only sign. Derek, the other overnight stalker, was in the break room. I was alone in grocery. "Hello?" I called out. Silence. Then, knock, knock, knock. I walked over, my sneakers squeaking on the linoleum. The door was slightly ajar. That wasn't right. That door was always locked. Always. I pushed it open. Cold air hit me first. Then the smell. Damp concrete and something sour, like spoiled milk. My phone flashlight showed stacks of dusty boxes, a broken pallet jack, and, at the far wall, another door, an open door, a staircase led down into darkness. "What the hell?" I muttered. There wasn't supposed to be a basement. I'd done orientation. I'd seen the blueprints. This store was slab on grade, no underground space. But the stairs were real. The steps were concrete, uneven, like they'd been poured in a hurry. The air got colder as I went down. My light flickered. At the bottom, a tunnel stretched into blackness. The walls were rough, like they'd been dug out by hand. Wires dangled from the ceiling. And then I saw the names, scratched into the concrete. Dozens of them. Some faded, some fresh. Mary, Tommy, Linda, James. At the very end, deep and jagged. Jessica. My name. I stumbled back. My phone slipped from my hand and clattered to the ground. The light flickered. And in that split second of darkness, I heard it, a wet, ragged breath, right behind me. I spun around. The thing stood at the base of the stairs, tall, too tall. Its limbs were stretched, fingers brushing the floor. Its skin was pale, almost gray, stretched tight over bones. Its mouth hung open, too wide, filled with jagged, broken teeth, and its eyes, black, empty, reflecting nothing. "You shouldn't have come down here," it whispered. I ran. I didn't scream. I didn't look back. I hit the main floor at full speed, slammed the storage room door behind me and leaned against it, gasping. Derek found me like that 5 minutes later. "Jess, you okay?" I couldn't speak. Just pointed at the door. He frowned. "What's wrong with it?" I turned. The door was locked. Padlock in place. No gap. No way it had been open. Derek gave me a weird look. "You need to sit down?" I nodded. I didn't sleep that day. I kept seeing that thing's face. Those hollow eyes. But worse, my name on the wall. How the hell did it know my name? I called in sick the next night. 2 days later, I came back. The store was normal. Fluorescent lights, music. Customers complaining about prices. I almost convinced myself I'd imagined it. Then, at 2:17 a.m., the knocking started again. Knock, knock, knock louder this time. Derek was in the back, unloading a truck. I was alone in housewares. The sound wasn't coming from the storage room. It was coming from underneath me. I looked down. A floor tile shifted, just slightly. Something scratched. At it from below, I bolted for the break room. I quit the next morning. The manager didn't care. Just shrugged and said, "Overnight turnover's high. You lasted longer than most." As I walked out, I glanced back at the storage room door. The padlock was gone. The door stood open, and from the darkness inside, something watched me leave. Drive past that Walmart sometimes. The lights are always on, The parking lot's always full. But if you go there late, really late, when the night crew's working, you might hear it too. Knock, knock, knock. And if you're stupid enough to open that door, you'll see your name on the wall, just like mine.